Oh, interesting. Okay, there's my title slide. Okay, we don't need the title slide. So moving on. Reporting fundamental training resources. Yes, Dirk mentioned a couple of things, and I've actually got those things handy. Um, this quick
Oh,
guide
oh,
is,
Bob,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. Would you show people how to get to this PowerPoint that you're using?
I'm
They
not
they may they may want it to get to those links or resources you're showing.
I'm not sure, to tell you the
Oh,
truth. Let's see if
okay.
it's it might be in this set of links. This is what it's called. It's called Reporting in Sherpa Budget V2. What I'm displaying is coming from our, the SharePoint site. So, uh, the word reporting is definitely going to bring that up.
Yeah,
you know, I,
that's good.
I don't want to confuse myself or get lost here when I've
Oh,
already
you're
got
fine.
the thing.
Thank you.
So ready to go. But yeah, this little 4-pager here is very dense with a lot of information. Um, but often that's just the kind of thing you need when you want to know how the heck, how to approach the reporting side of Sherpa. This is something that I definitely recommend. Um, and then if you need something that's more detailed, we've got other things that are more detailed than the quick reference. So, by all means, spend some time on our SharePoint site and see what else is there. But these things should be there. I haven't checked these links yet to see if they're any good, but that's something I've got on my list to do. If need be, I can go in and I'll update those links. But if not, you can always do a search at the SharePoint site for any of these, and it should help you find the current version of that document. So um, just know that those things are there. Now, when you go into the reporting side of Sherpa, everything is organized by folders. And, for the end users, the things that are most commonly used are like the O3 to the O7, because this has your pre-June interim adjustments. This has your June. Your year end is '05, post year end is '06, and then '07. So those are the things that are most commonly used. Um, and within a budget opening, generally you'll see capital, operating, and personnel as being the three major subtopics under that folder. But then there are also the only folders, and those are for the interim adjustments. And Gabe mentioned that the interim adjustments have a required attachment, and I believe that's what that only thing is. That if you expand these folders, you'll see that one report, that 11201 that is required for any of those adjustments is in fact what you'll find in those folders. This is just something, file this away in your memory uh, for later reference. Once we get past the 1st of 2024 and you want to come back and see some of these fall reports, see report on the fall budget. At some point, we're going to go through about the 5th of January is usually when it is. We're going to go through and do a rollover. And after that has happened, you'll find that you have to look for those, the 2024 reports, you'll have to look for in this historical folder number 10. You know, here's a screenshot that just shows, yeah, calendar 2021, calendar 2020. Like I say, that's just something, file that away in your memory bank for next year. Now, the operating folder report types, that's probably where you're going to spend a lot of your time, and that's where a lot of the resources are found. You know, here's some screenshots to show you. Well, here's kind of what the fall folder looks like. You'll notice all of these reports have an F at the end of them. So, you know, if you're in a folder and you're seeing J's and you're trying to get to fall reports, you're in the wrong place. You know, you'll definitely want there to be, you'll want to be in the one that's got the F on there. And as you can see, there are several selections to choose from. Now, one thing you'll want to become familiar with, and one reference document you'll definitely want to become familiar with, is this fall columns and measures reference. You will see when we get to the demonstration of the Swiss Army knife report that you know, these measures are quite important. You'll want to understand how they work. They're important, but they're not that complicated. I would say the main thing they are is that they're columns that you can drop onto a report where you get to choose the columns, and that's what you do with the Swiss Army knife report. This document kind of explains some of the naming conventions, how various things are used, how they are named, what they mean, you know, future year adjustments here. For example, you know, Brad earlier went into the 1X adjustments, for example. So here's, you know, that's just one of the things that you've already seen. But, you know, you can also see the various stage totals, the, yeah, even stress. There are measures for stress tests and so forth. So that's a document that you'll want to be familiar with. Hey, where am I? See measures for fall budget cycle in the 11501F's analysis tab. Okay, yes, this little slide, this little OneNote slide, the 115.01 is a report that was new. Was it new? It was new either in June or it was new last fall. Can't remember which. That is a big, wide report that has, you know, nearly all of the measures for the fall's budget cycle. That one is one that shows, you know, the full detail, and you know, we can look at that in a minute here when we start doing some actual demonstration. But that's what this is referring to. Okay. But here is where, you know, where the measures actually get used. And this is a picture of, I'm pretty sure this is a screenshot from the Swiss Army knife report, the 10102, where you are allowed to choose any of these measures to be any one of these 7 columns in, you know, in this report. So, you know, this shows you that there's an awful lot of things that you can pick in this report, a lot of things that you can find. This looks like it was probably a June version of that report because it's got mostly June measures. But yeah, they're presented in a certain order. They vary depending on the report. So a lot of reports actually do have measures, but most of them are not as extensive as this list that you see from the, from the Swiss Army knife report. Okay, includes measures current, yeah, relevant to the current cycle. Yep, that's right. Okay. Identifying measure meanings. Hello. Okay. There we go. Yeah, just blew this up. I hope that's helpful to you. So it's a little easier to read because this is rather small text on this slide. Yeah, hopefully they're in order. The order that's in the report prompts is roughly chronological. So, usually if you're trying to go left to right chronologically, you're going to run into the measure that you'll want to put in column 1 before you run into the measure that you want to put in column 2 and 3 and so forth. So, and then there's actual measures, which have a naming convention. If you want to display actuals, you've got it. If you want the current year budget, CY fall adopt tote, this stuff would probably be updated for June. You'd probably use different measures for June. This seems to be the slide from June, or that was more geared toward June. You would probably be looking at June fin 99 might be the current year adopted budget. Okay, prior year's final adjusted. There's the revised naming convention. Pre-June, those are the the pre-June adjustments. Submitted versus approved. A 99 in a measure means something that is approved. If you're looking at interim adjustments, that's pretty important. Also, now that we're past June, that was also, that's important to know that the June fin 99 is the final word on what got approved in June. Stage only changes have a CHG. Cumulative stages by change have a STG. Total budgets at stage N have a TOT. Yeah, future year adjustments. We did mention that. Those have the 1X. So that's been mentioned a few times now. There we go. There's those adopted budgets. June fin 99, fall adopt fin tote for fall. Year end adjusted budget, fin budget 99. So, this is a pretty good slide to have as kind of a quick reference on measures, as well as the the document that I mentioned to you earlier. Okay, there's some common tasks that I think we'll go ahead and kind of move to a demonstration mode here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that guy off the screen. And let's bring this guy on the screen. First of all, to get to the reporting environment, that comes from the links menu here. So that's for those of you that are kind of brand new in Sherpa. That's where you're going to go to get to, the reporting environment. And this is where you would go and, you'd want to pick the correct folder. Now, of course, when you're doing things in fall in production, this 07 is going to be your folder. But because we're actually, most of us working in the development environment, you would go to first folder 16, and then you would go to folder 16's folder 07. And you can see there's budget packet is one of your choices, capital, if you're working on capital projects. If you do capital projects, that's where you're going to want to find the reports you use. If you're working on your PCF, getting your getting their base set correctly on personnel records. this is where you'll find those reports to work on. So, but I'm going to mostly concentrate here in the operating side of things. And the common task is to, okay, open a report. We can start there. And I'll just go ahead and do that. I'll just open a report. And this guy right here at the top, this is the guy we call the Swiss Army knife. So I'm going to go ahead and open that report. And as soon as you start this report, what you see are prompts, okay? This is a set of prompts that you can fill out. You can pick sections, okay? You've got 4 options of what you choose for sections. Then you can tell it there's a required prompt, and that's what this red arrow means. This red arrow says, oh, that one is absolutely required. Account type is the other one that is required on this report. But this report does allow you to do more than one account type. So if you want expenses and revenues on the same report, you have that opportunity. Did somebody say something? The other thing with this report is that you can, in fact, define columns for this report. And well, yeah, in fact, you have to. You'll notice that you must at least define one column in this report. And here is where you can see that really long, big hairy list of measures that you can use in this report for columns. And this is what makes this report very powerful, is that there are just so many bits of data, things to choose from. If you want to get historical actuals, you've got them. We're going back 7 years. You've got the current actuals. You want to see where we're at this year without, breaking out and going into the financial system. We are pulling those in daily from MyFin. So there's a lot of things here. Yeah, if you want to see budgets, historical budgets, there again, we've also got those 7 years of historical budgets. Okay, I am going to, in the interest of time, cancel out of that because I already have one of these that I've been working on. Let's see, can I move you there? Okay, so this is the Swiss Army knife. This is one that I've already run, but I'm going to show you, okay, what this prompt looks like when it's set up. Although I probably do need to at least back up a little bit and show you how you would set that up. So say section 1 on this is a postable department ID. The way you would get to the options you have for the sections is you would come over here and you would refresh values. Okay, so there it will give you a list of all of the things you can use as a section. And a lot of those things are very, very handy, depending on what you want to see. Another thing that you'd want to be familiar with on this prompt window is the search function, okay? You can actually say, okay, I'm looking for form ID. Where is that? And I can hit this binocular button and it says, oh, there you go. So I got form ID, I got form definition, I got form category. So I've got those 3 things I could use as a section, you can see I've used one of those here. I've used account type, which means generally whether it's revenue or expense, and those are the two types that I've got. Okay, and then I can select what I want on rows. Okay, and I've set this up to have account on rows. And I picked an organization. Again, you've got the same things here that you can use. It'll give you a huge list. But if you're looking for something smaller, if you want to say, if you're who is 79? Actually, 76, I think, is the auditor. Okay, why are you doing this? Yeah. So, if you need to search to find you, most of you actually will be limited by your security, I think, as to what you can see here. So you won't be looking at all the stuff I have to do, and you won't really need to be able to search like I do. But if you do have a lot of things, then the search function is very handy. Okay, anyway, I've set this one up for 1022 because that's where I did my my sample example form. And I'm going to go and let it do revenue and expense as account types, which I believe I've also set up as a group. And then I've set this to just do some of the newest, the first stage, the early stage columns. So ABB PCF new, that is your adjusted base budget. So we're going to go ahead and display that. We're going to display what went in during the request and how that totaled, the request stage, how that totaled up. We'll also show the review stage and how that all totals up. And that's all there. So here we are. We're finally ready to save, to run this. But before I do, I want to point out one nice little feature we have here, and this is called prompt variants. Okay, and prompt variants are a way that you can actually save this setup with just a couple of caveats, okay, when it comes to prompt variants. One, any prompt variant you create will be visible to anyone else who has basically the same security profile as you do. So say if you're in like Parks and Recreation, they've probably got several different users that have access to this, that are all set up with the same profile, and that set of users will be able to create prompt variants that everybody else in that same group will also see. And that's why when I name a prompt variant, I put my name on it. So I've got this early stage columns Bob. I'm not going to select it because I may have changed it since I created it. So that's one thing. The other thing is that from time to time, the server does need to be rebooted, and we found that when that happens, we tend to lose our prompt variants. So I wouldn't count. So just be aware that the permanency of the prompt variants is questionable. And if you've got one that you use a lot and you really need to be able to find it, take a screenshot. Okay, take a screenshot of what that looks like so that you can find it again. Okay, we're running out of time here, but I'm going to go ahead and run this guy. And this will demonstrate what we did. We said, okay, what did we say? We said that our first section is postable department ID. Bingo, there it is, 1022-100, postable department ID. Second section, account type. There we go. E, expenditures. Yep, that's also a section that you see on this report. We can move through it. And yeah, okay, see, so then we've got revenue. So we've got a section for revenue. So that's working. Then we ask for a third section, and that was for form ID. And I think you'll really want to know this one. That's one that I think you'll want to, you'll find that pretty powerful, that when you're entering things on a specific form, doing a decision package, and you want to check your work, it's good that you can set up this report so that you can actually see that specific form. You could even, in fact, if I wanted to, I could even limit the form. I could, I could use this and actually pick that form header ID, and I could limit the report to just that, what I put in on that form. So that's a very useful thing to have. Now let's look at a few other report features. This thing is called the navigation map. And you'll notice with this, I can quickly get to certain sections, okay? This is showing me those sections that I had of, first sub-department ID. And as I expand this navigation map, it goes into the next section, which is revenues and expenditures. And as I expand it more, see, I can go and I can find that form, that test form. So all of those things are there. I don't think this one has, nope, this one doesn't have input controls, so I can't demonstrate those. But okay, the navigation map. Now, next thing that you'll want to be aware of with Sherpa reports is that the concept, what this actually is this is SAP's business objects. That's what this reporting engine is. And business objects has a concept of a document, meaning that what you're picking here, see how what this tab says? It says documents. That's actually what you are selecting, is not from reports in the traditional sense where it is, this set thing on one page. But you're actually picking a document, and a document can have multiple tabs of information. So we've been looking at the formatted portion, but suppose the formatted portion might not work as well for you as just pulling the data out unformatted and then using, saving that to Excel, using the tools you have in Excel to create a presentation using Excel, like a pivot table, something like that. So that's an option you have. We had a question earlier about detail and how to see that in a report. You could, in this report, if you wanted to, you could make detail a section, but to me, I tried that. And I don't think detail makes that much sense as a section. I think that is a case where rather than use that as a section, I think what I would do is I would export this export all that has those detail line items, and I'd probably use a pivot table to, um, to display things. I just think it'd probably do a better job. So with any of these, with any and all of these, you have the capability to, well, for one thing, to navigate. We've mentioned some of the navigation. You've got paging that you can navigate to. You've got the ability to zoom in and out if needed. Yeah. And then the last thing I want to display is that you can export any of these reports. And I'm going to do that with this guy. I'm going to export it to Excel because let's face it, that's what you're most likely going to want. What it's going to do by default is give you all of the tabs that are here, which I think is fine. You've got this option, prioritize formatting or prioritize data processing. I have found in some instances that I think prioritizing the formatting worked better in some instances that I was looking at. So I'd say, by default, it's going to say that. Most of the time, that'll get you what you want. But if it doesn't, or, especially if the formatted page ends up being a little bit odd, you may want to try this other one, prioritize formatting. Anyway, I'm going to do that now, just for the heck of it. And, what it did is it, however your browser does downloads, you will now have a download of this this document. Okay, and what it's going to do, if you keep the default as it asks for in Excel, it's actually going to give you an Excel workbook with three different tabs with all three of those there. And then from there, you can do whatever it is you want to do. So that's that's kind of the last thing that was on the slide I was going over, and now it looks like I'm over time. So where do we go from here?
No, you did great. Let's open it up for any questions. I think what I would like to do is I'm going to leave the meeting open till 4:15. Everybody that wants to go now can. Thank you for attending today and for your questions and your attention. Like I said, I'm going to leave the meeting open so that you can ask Bob questions about reporting, and we can anybody who wants to can so we have time to answer those questions. But yeah, so any questions? Also, I'm going to leave the meeting open in case there are any budgeting questions that anyone wants to ask relating to their specific budget.
Hey, Dirk,
Yeah,
do you know if the processing engine is working on the dev environment?
the projection engine.
Yeah, the projection engine, sorry about that.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Bob started it. It's working. I know we pushed you, but that was a nice summary of reporting. So thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Okay, so again, leaving the session open. I'll be listening for any questions. What did I say? 4:30? I think it's probably going to be till 4:15. I'll be listening for anyone that has any budget questions. Okay, thanks everyone. Javed, go ahead. Unless that was a hand that you reached up to.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's a question for Gabe, actually. Gabe, is the rebudgeting for the capital projects also rebudgeting of revenues? Maybe he's gonna answer it later.
Gabe,
David, are you asking rebudgeting of revenues?
Yes.
Yes. For those who
Okay.
who are, yes, tying revenues to their capital project, absolutely. We can also rebudget the revenues.
Okay, perfect. Hey, also give when you will have the capital projects to me, because I do my projections for beginning balances relating to the bond funded capital projects at the very end, because it always require me to know what is rebudgeted. When is that timeline?
So I won't have all of the rebudgets in until about the second week in September. And I really like to wait until the end of stage one to make sure everybody's had theirs in. Is like Monday, September 18th, okay, or is that present a
Yes,
problem?
that will be perfect, and I only need a couple of days to get my projections to Rod relating to the beginning balances for them. So I would really appreciate that if that is gonna work.
Okay,
Thank you, and I'm sending you an email for some projects that I'm closing, so I will send you that email right now, okay?
oh, I appreciate it, Javed. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you. Good work, all of you guys. And Rod, you don't need to yell.
Okay.
what did you say?
Nothing. Be nice to Sparky.
Okay.
Thanks,
Okay,
Jeff.
we had a question from Gabe, then Rod, and then Lisa.
Oh, I accidentally hit the hand
Okay.
button, so
Gabe, did you have anything, or was that just an accident?
That was a high five to the budget team.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, thanks. Jeff.
Likewise. Lisa, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a few questions. So this one's for revenue that's going to be over $100,000. We weren't planning on it. And I don't know if this is really true revenue. Internally, other agencies will use this for surveying services, like Public Works will use this, Engineering Flood Control. And I asked them for their projections on what they think how much revenue they'll bring in for us. And I have some agencies that are going to bring in, like they said, 25,000 this year, but now it's going to be like 150,000. So right there, I'm going to be 125,000 over. But this is only if their projects are approved in their budget. So do I need to do anything special this time? Because I'm going over 100,000 and I've never done this before, but we have a lot more demand for surveying next year if these other agencies get their projects approved. So it's all, I don't know what to base it off of. If they get approved, if I adjust the revenue after budget, but then we're going to be in the next phase after the 15th, or what I should do.
Yeah, that's a difficult one,
Yeah.
Lisa, because I don't think I'd want to use the revenue committee's time for
Yeah.
something that's, if this is approved, then
Mhm.
you know, more like something that maybe it's just a matter of something I'd probably deal with by email and just inform them that there is this projection of interfund revenue, but it is contingent on this, 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 and this. I don't know. I'm going to have to give some thought how to how we deal with this, but my initial thought is that it's really not, you know, it's probably not something that belongs in the committee meeting.
No, because it's really not true revenue. It's just basically moving funds. Like say we grant the budget to Public Works or whoever, well, the money's just going to come back to me. I mean, so it's not like
Right.
we're going to bring in revenue from an outside source. It's just you guys approved budget and moved it over, and we moved it to us eventually down
Yeah,
the
well,
line.
it does.
Build up.
I mean, it does move from one fund to another.
Yeah, that's all that happens. Like it's not
Right.
like my external customers that are buying monument permits or maps or survey fees or anything like that.
Hey,
Mhm.
Bob, I'm wondering if there's some way to put that request in a mass change form. So if the whole thing is not approved, then the revenue is not approved either. Or I don't know about linking, if that would work for linking. If you have to unapprove 2 linked forms, or if you just unapprove one, if it unapproves both. But there might be some way to do, since they're related, there might be some way to do the request in one form.
Hmm.
I could set up like one form or one decision package or one and call it like revenue. And I could do it separate. I could call it like internal revenue. And then I could do a separate one for my external revenue, like my maps and permits that I sell. If you want me to do that.
Yeah, or I mean, what Dirk was saying was kind of more of a mass change kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I let's yeah.
Give it some
Wh-
thought.
Yeah, let's give it some thought. I could probably work with you on that, Lisa. So,
Okay.
you know, yeah, maybe send me some more information and we can chat
Okay.
about what might be the best way to handle that.
Okay. So just email you first, not the revenue committee, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay, just email you. Okay, I'll send that over in the next few days. I'll send you like what the change amount is and what agencies are changing. So you know
Okay.
that. But don't load it in Sherpa yet, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have one more question. Is Rod still on here? Yeah, Rod's still on here about ARPA. So I have all 3 of my people hired, my time limited people hired, and their salaries are in, and they're in correctly in Sherpa. So they're right, they're correct there. But we had